Welcome to Ordinary Podcast. My name is Claudia Newton and I'm the founder of No Ordinary Life. Today I'm joined by my guest Samuel Kwame Mensah and we're discussing the topic Reaching the Youth Engagement. Stay tuned for our very first episode on this exciting topic of conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Samuel Kwame Mensah Jr. I am a storyteller and also the founder of Umbrella for the African Child, also known as UTAC, UTAC. And the motto of the organization is for God and for humanity. And we are currently in two countries in Africa, Nigeria and Ghana.
On all our projects. And fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that. So as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about youth engagement because today is International Youth Day. We're streaming live on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're joining us on those platforms, welcome. It's good to have you on, and happy International Youth Day if you are a youth or young adults. So the question we have today is how to engage the youth. The reason why we chose this particular topic is because different organizations, non-profit organizations, businesses, they're all trying to find ways to engage the youth. You know, their target audience is the youth. And sometimes they don't quite know how to go about the best way to engage in the youth. And so we're here with a young adult himself, a youth himself, who has his own organization, for him to shed some light on how he goes about engaging the youth for Umbrella for the African Child. Just to briefly just go over the definition for the youth. The United Nations classifies the youth as between 15 to 24 years old. But they did say that that is not the standard definition for the youth. Different organizations, different countries have their own classification for the age range of youth. For some organizations, it's 10 to 29. For some, it's 15 to 24. For some, it's 18 to 35. So there's no standard definition for youth. And somewhere between childhood and adulthood, I guess, that's also debatable in terms of how you view childhood and adulthood. So today we're talking about the age range between, let's just say, from 18 to 35 for today. And so, yes, that's what we're looking at today. How do we engage people within this age range? As a non-profit, as a business, as a government organization, as a government department, how do you get young people of that age to engage with you in your projects that you're working on? So Samuel, just tell us a little bit more about your organization, areas of focus, the audience that you work with. You mentioned the countries that you work in, but feel free to also to share more light on that. Just tell us more about Umbrella for the African Child.
Umbrella for the African Child is a Pan-Africanist organization. The organization advocates for the rights of children in rural, underserved African communities. UTAC is more than just an organization to us. It's a movement for the African child, a movement that wants to ensure children in underserved communities experience quality and equity in education and get the supports needed. We are focused on two SDG goals. That's SDG goal number 4 and SDG goal number 2. That's quality education and zero hunger. And we have a project in Ghana and also in Nigeria. So the events that we organize in communities is called Rural Literacy Program. So the Rural Literacy Program engages students with so many activities that can, increase their reading and writing proficiency.
Now that you shed some more light on Umbrella for the African Child, can you tell us why is youth engagement paramount to what you do as an organization?
At UTAC, we truly believe the youth are the future. We truly believe the children are the future. And I know a lot of people are tired of constantly hearing the youth are the future. youth are the future, but with no proper structure in place for them to thrive, how can they be that future? But at UTAC, we truly believe they are the future. And by actively involving them in programs, several significant benefit arises, such as equipping them with necessary skills, training, knowledge, and resources they need to have a fighting chance in the world. Also, engaging youth allows us to address and tackle societal issues affecting the growth of the African child. Through our discussions with them, we get a better insight into the challenges they face, and we develop interventions to help them in supporting these children. I remember in 2019, when I traveled to Nigeria, because I grew up in a community called Ajegunle in Lagos State. When I traveled to Ajegunle, I saw a lot of things have changed in the community. I saw youth involved in so many negative activities. I saw children engaged in so many activities. And what I realized after speaking to community leaders in the community, what I realized that they lack proper mentorship. They lack proper mentorship, proper guidance. That is what the youth lacked in the community. I saw a lot of them imitating the negative lifestyle that they keep seeing in the community. And because there's no positive lifestyle, the negative lifestyle overrule whatever goodness wants to happen in the community. So what we decided to do was to organize a program for the youth. And we organized our first ever mentorship program in 2019. And we had about 90 teenagers. They came and we connected these teenagers with mentors. We had to bridge the gap between the youth and mentors. So that way, in Ajegunle, when they tell you that they lack mentorship, what we do is we bridge that gap and we connect this youth with mentorship. And so far, we've seen significant change when it comes to the mindset of youth and when it comes to them having a proper role model for them to look up to that can add to their development.
If you can also tell us more about the age range of these mentors. Are they older people that will your mentors, or are they people that you consider to also be youth as well? What's the age group that you were looking at to be that were mentors, let's say?
Umbrella for the African Child is a youth-driven organization. So whenever we want to work with mentors, we work with mentors that can relate with these people. We want mentors that can relate with the youth. So we have mentors who are 30 years old, 25 years old, 19 years old, youth mentors that actually relate with these people. Because that's one thing I've noticed about the youth is that when someone who is 60 years old or 55 years old, they might not necessarily have that connection with the youth because they don't know what they are going through. So we connect them, we connect this youth with the right mentors, people who can relate with their story, who can relate with their journey, who can relate with their experience. And those mentors can mentor this youth in the place of understanding. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for shedding light on that. So since you have mentors that are youth and you also have I'd say your beneficiaries, your target audience who are youth, how do you approach engaging with, let's say, first of all, the mentors? How did you actually manage to get the mentors? How were you able to recruit mentors to work in these communities?
It wasn't very difficult for us to get mentors, actually, because from volunteer, we get the right people to actually mentor this the youth. At Umbrella for the African Child, we have a lot of people who are passionate when it comes to community development, businesses, So we put them together and we educate them as regards to the goal of what Umbrella for the African Child wants to do. So everybody working under UTAC, be it the volunteer, that we are a youth-driven organization and our commitment is towards the African child. So we inspire you to inspire other people, to inspire other children. So it wasn't very difficult for us to get mentors, because mentors just come in through volunteering, and we use them to help mentor the youth.
So in terms of the reaching recruiting volunteers, was it more of a word of mouth sort of approach, or was it more of they saw something on social media and they inquired about it? How did they actually find out about the program to be able to enroll in it as a volunteer and eventually as a mentor?
Okay, we have a lot of ways whereby we get volunteers. Some are word of mouth, because we believe that our mentors are ambassadors. So they go outside to tell people about what we're doing, the good that we are providing and offering for the African child. And some, they see what we do on social media, let's say on Facebook, on Instagram, and then they reach out to, find out more about the organization and how they can get involved. And when we know what they can do, then we know that, okay, we can actually utilize these people for the children and the youth that we are working with.
You've been doing this since 2019, so that's 4 years, let's say. The different ways that you've mentioned, word of mouth, social media, and then just general inquiry, which of these approaches have you found to be the most effective when trying to work with the youth or young adults of the age group that you tackle? At the moment, what's your top way of recruiting volunteers? Let's stick with the volunteers for now. How do you recruit volunteers?
Okay. You're asking about approaches. Okay. Whenever I travel to different communities, I make sure I create an atmosphere of friendship. Allowing them to see me as a friend rather than a stranger. By establishing this bond, particularly with the young people, they feel comfortable opening up to me. I firmly believe that being seen as a friend rather than an authority figure makes a significant difference in these children. It breaks down wall and fosters a sense of trust with these young people. And my approach is, I approach this in the standpoint of friendship, like I said, because as someone who walked, a similar path, I make them to understand that I have also walked a similar path with them. And that way it gives them a sense of, okay, understanding, that they can relate with me. And that way, that's how I used to engage this youth. When they see me to be someone relatable, when they see me to someone who has actually walked the path before, they trust me. They trust in what intervention that we want to do, because the intervention is actually coming from a place of, as we understanding their journey. And we are coming up with ways to actually help them in that journey that they are on.
Okay. Building a relationship, that's your personal approach. Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's good. Okay. And so you've mentioned the fact that you've been doing this for 4 years now. In the 4 years of engaging the youth in the areas you've worked in, what have been some of the challenges that you've encountered with when you're working with the youth or are trying to involve them in the projects, because it's for them? So what challenges have you encountered when you're trying to run these programs, and maybe you probably don't have enough youth, or what are the challenges that you face?
Okay, the number one challenge is it has to do with lack of trust. Lack of trust in these young people, because one thing I realized that these people, they've encountered a lot of people who have promised and failed them, who come to them, tell them they would do that, they would do this, and end up not doing it. So us going to that particular community to help, they automatically don't trust you because of their experience. when it comes when dealing with other people, especially us as a non-governmental organization. When we go to a community like, let's say, Northeast region, and we travel to a village called Namimboku, because these villages, like they've encountered NGOs coming there, promising them something and not fulfilling it. Now, when we are also coming there, automatically they don't trust you, they don't trust in your word. So what we decided to do is, in working with these young people, in making sure that they trust us, they trust our program, we stay with them. Now, I remember when I was traveling to Northeast region for the first time in 2021, for the first time, I was told by the school headmaster, and he was telling me that, do I want to stay in the village, or do I want to stay in the town? And I specifically told him that if I should stay in the town, I might not connect with this youth effectively. The connection might not be there, and lack of trust will be there. So what I told him was, I will stay in the village. That way I can connect with this youth. I can connect with the parents. I can build trust with them. I can establish a great bond with them. Once the bond is there, then it makes our programs effective for them, because they know that, okay, this man is not just coming to tell us A, B, C, and D and then go back, but this man is telling us A, B, C, and D, and he's staying here, is eating the food we are eating, is drinking the water we are drinking, is bathing in the same bathroom that we are bathing in. It builds so much trust. They trust you. So whatever programs you bring up, you see the root rallying behind you because they know you.
So that's very, very insightful. Trust is very important for engaging the youth. And I suppose it's actually important for any age group that you're working with, as a non-governmental organization, charity. The people's trust is the most important, because that's how you're able to break through and be able to actually, get the information out of them. When you were talking about, living with the people, it reminded me of when I was on a program called ICS, International Citizen Service. I went the second time as a team leader, and we had to basically work with local volunteers. So these were young people our age, not from the UK as I am, but actually from the countries that we worked in. And the way that we were able to, I would say, be able to engage well in the communities and be received well by the communities was by people that were either chiefs or by community champions. So these are people that you would initially, when we first went to the village or the town, we had to go and see either the chief or the community champion to let them know that we're here and the purpose of why we were there. And then they would interrogate us, to find out more about what we're doing. And then once they feel like, okay, we're genuine, or, I guess we're genuine, they would actually introduce us to the village, the people of the village. And so trust is very, very important. And so for yourself as a founder of an organization, have you had to use community champions to be able to engage with the audience that you are working with, whether in Ghana or in Nigeria? Have you had to use other people, apart from the tools that you mentioned, building a relationship on your own? Have you had to rely on other people to introduce you to the village properly or the community properly?
Yeah, I have. I remember when I traveled to South Subigi village in the Northeast region. Before going there, the headmaster took me to the chief and also his sub-chiefs, right? And this is where I told them my intention, the intention of Umbrella for the African Child, the intention of the partner organization, AKAKIS Foundation, Smiles Africa, so as for them to get like a better understanding of what we want to do. And that was in South Subigi village. So I used this chief and the sub-chief to actually pass our message across to the parents, so they understand, okay, a stranger is here, but his intentions are good, and this is what he wants to do. That was what I did in South Subigi village. Now, in Namimboku village, I used the assemblyman. So through the assemblyman, I passed a lot of message across to the community, right? So this was where whatever intervention program that we want to organize, then I will first of all tell the assemblyman, and together with his team, they will inform the community. So when we come in for the program, it doesn't look like, what are they doing? But when we come in, they understand that, okay, this is what they want to do. This is their intention. This is their goal, and this is their vision. So I've used a lot of community leaders to foster, to champion our project in Northeast region, and also in Nigeria too. We also make use of community leaders, like people who are influential in the community. For example, in Ajegunle, when I went back to Ajegunle in 2019, when I found out that a lot of things have changed in the community, and this was when I was in uni. I was still in university, and I just finished university, and coming back to Nigeria after 8 years of being away, I didn't know much about what is happening in the community, unlike before. So for me to understand what is happening and to also come up with a program for them, I had to rely on the community leaders. I had to rely on the community leaders to give me information and also tell them my take, and together we can create something sustainable for the people. So definitely I've used community leaders, assemblyman, the chief, the sub-chiefs to champion all our projects.
Okay. So assemblyman, chiefs, community leaders, have you ever had to go through influential, I would say, youth, the young people? Do you also have to rely on young people who are seen as voices for other young people? Have you had that experience?
Yeah. We in Ajegunle, because we do a lot of work in Ajegunle, because that's where I grew up in. And there's this man called Kwame Haji. And he's very, very influential. He's very influential. And for all our projects, I, bring him on board for him to be like an ambassador, and also like, an ambassador for our program. And then there's also Okpara Obina. So Okpara Obina is a partner and a sponsor for the organization, and also very influential in Ajegunle. So I also use him to also champion our projects in Ajegunle. When they see these people, when they see these amazing people, this amazing youth, part of UTAC, it gives us so much credibility that this is what we want to do, and UTAC is reliable. And because they have these people who are reliable, then they can rely on UTAC and our programs.
Okay, so the years that you've been working for or started up UTAC, what has been your greatest achievement with the youth? If you can think of something from the top of your head, like what's been your proudest moment in terms of your achievements?
Okay, I think my proudest moments will be, now we've done a lot of programs, Nigeria, Ghana, but one of them, as in the one project that stands out is last year's project, where when I was in Namimboku village, I had a conversation with kids as regards to Christmas. And I asked them, like, what do they do on Christmas Day? Do they go like on parties? Do they have like, Christmas parties in school? Unlike what we do that in Nigeria, where like December time, you see school organizing Christmas party and everybody's all hyped up and they're coming looking all nice and good. So I asked them if they still do, if they do the same thing in the village, and they were like, no, it's business as usual. They go to farm on Christmas Day. They don't go anywhere else, just farm. And I was like, no, we need to do something here. And I was praying about it. I was like, no, we need to do something here December time. So I came back to Accra, had a conversation with Kiakis Foundation, had a conversation with some sponsors, told them that we need to organize a Christmas party for children in Namibuku and in South Subigi. And this is going to be like the first time it has ever been organized in the village, So I just told them what my vision was. And I traveled to the north last year, December 17th, and we organized a Christmas party for them 25th. And it was amazing. The kids came looking all nice and good. It was so good. And the amazing thing was when we were planning the Christmas party and we're looking at what to buy, the drinks to buy. And then one of the kids just said, Masa, I think we need to support you too. So everybody is going to donate one cedi, and we will use the money to buy fish and then buy drink. I was like, I was like, whoa, like,
yeah.
I mean, why not? If you guys want to do that, I mean, we have like the money to buy the stuffs, but they saying that they also want to contribute. That just means a lot. And then they donated one cedi, and then they gathered it together, gave it to one particular lady, Amida, and they prepared on the day of the party. They came, they brought the fish, they brought the drinks, and they were dancing and they were smiling, and it was amazing. And like, that's my best, so far my best project.
Right. That's great. That's lovely to hear. Okay. So just for a bit of context, this is youth engagement, but Umbrella for the African Child also work with children. And you're going to tell us more about your current projects that you are working on with Ecrea's Kids Foundation very shortly. But I suppose in terms of working with kids, the approach, is it different from when you're working with young people, youth? I suppose with kids, you're going through the channel of school, of parents, but with youth, like, what's the difference in how you approach youth, particularly in Nigeria, and how you've had to approach the communities in the northeast Ghana? Like, what's the different approach you've had to use in engaging the different age group, because kids and youth are different?
Yeah, I think it has to do with building trust, honestly, with the youth or the children, because the children are not going to give you the attention if they don't trust you. It's impossible. And the same thing too with the youth too. They are not going to listen to you if they don't trust you, if they don't think you are reliable. So with the youth, with the children, we build this bond of friendship. We connect with them. Like I said earlier on, with the youth, we want to relate with them. So for us to relate with them, we connect them with people who have worked similar work with them. Like in Ajegunle, let's take, for example, Ajegunle. We know that for us to inspire the youth in Ajegunle, we don't need to bring people from Lekki to come talk to them. We don't need to bring people from Abuja to come talk to them. We don't need to bring people from Aja or the rich places to come talk to them. We bring people from their community. We bring people from Ajegunle. That's in Ajegunle. There are so many amazing people doing amazing things in Ajegunle. We look for those people, we bring them to come speak to these youth. That way, if I'm talking to you as someone who has smoked before, someone who is a drunk, a serial drunkard before, if I'm talking to you, then you will listen to me.
Yeah.
You will listen to me like, okay, this guy has done this before, but he turned his life around. How did he do it? So we connect them with people that will actually build a bond with them and build trust with them. That's what we do with the same thing too with the children too. Working with them too, we are also building a connection with them. We build like friendship with them. One thing that have really worked with me in working with children in the North has to do with that bond, that friendship. They trust you. They trust your process. They trust your programs. They trust everything about your organization and what you want to do for them.
Great. So it's I mean, from what you've said, it's such great work you've been doing in the rural areas of Ajegunle, and also in northeast Ghana. So well done for that. Congratulations. It takes, I guess, what's the word? It takes a village to raise a child, right? And so we're talking about teamwork. We're talking about being able to work with like-minded individuals, being able to work with people who really understand the vision of the organization and are able to buy into it. That's also trust from your team. It's not just on the ground, the people you're going to deliver the programs to that need your trust. It's also the organizations you work with, your sponsors. It's your team, the volunteers who work with you. They also need to have your trust as well. And you also need to have their trust, right? Because they're essentially representing the organization. So in terms of your team, if you can give in numbers, what's the size of your team in Nigeria, Ajegunle, and what's the size of your team in northeastern Ghana? Folks, Samuel has had to change location because of internet connectivity, so he's in a different place, but he's still here with us. That's a good thing. And before the brief interruption, we were talking about the size of your team, both in Ghana and in Nigeria. So if you could just share a little bit more on the size of your team on both ends.
Okay, in Nigeria, I have a team of 7 people, 7 executives, and we have a volunteer of 30 in Nigeria. But in Ghana, we have 1 volunteer working with me in East Mamprese district. Now we want to be intentional about getting people to work, because the challenge that I have working in the north is because a lot of people want to volunteer. A lot of friends and people that see what Youth Act does on social media in Ghana, they want to volunteer. But the thing is, they are not in Northeast region. Some are in Accra and Kumasi. So now getting them to go to the north and the whole transportation, it becomes a problem. So what we want to do is get people in the community that can volunteer. So thankfully, we have 1 individual who is now working with me, and he's the one that is actually handling projects in Northeast region.
Okay, the question I'll ask is, what's the best thing about working with young people?
I think you learn something from them. In as much as you teach them, they also teach you too. And for me, they teach me how to smile. I think I tend to be too serious. I don't smile as I should. Whenever I go to a particular community, I just focus on work. But working with these kids and seeing them smile, seeing them play, seeing them dance, seeing them just live a carefree life, it is I'm not realizing that, Samuel, not every day you go this serious. Smile too, smile more. So I learned to smile more now. I learned to, loosen up and just smile because I see them smiling. So I learn from them, and that's the best part of working with kids. I get to learn amazing things from them.
Great. Okay, so I think that's advice for everyone, really. Just smile, learn to not be too serious about life, and just take it easy and smile. All right. And then my final question is, we're talking about youth engagement. So if I could ask, if you could give 3 brief advice or tips for, say, an organization that's trying to engage with the youth, or a church that's trying to engage with the youth, or a sports club that's trying to engage with the youth, what would your 3 pieces of advice be for how they can go about engaging with the youth and actually maintaining the interest of the youth? 3 pieces of advice. 3.
What I would say is do more of listening.
Right. Yeah.
this youth, they feel like they are not being heard. So in working with the youth, you do more of listening. I know a lot of people, when they travel rural communities, they want to, execute their projects. They want to plan work projects, but not do more of listening, hear what they have to say, make them feel heard. When they feel heard, then they feel belong. And when they feel belong, your event, project, program becomes effective. The other one is walk the talk. I will encourage every youth or every organization working towards, helping youth. I will say, when you promise them something, you execute it, you do it. And like I said, when we're talking about the youth, and I was like, a lot of young people, they have had their hearts broken before with promises. So if you are an organization, NGO, whatever it is, when you go to particular communities, don't just go there to talk, go there to work. Let them see the work that you're doing. Let them see the work that you are doing. Do less talking. Okay, do less talking. Do more of listening and also working. Whatever you've heard from them, whatever information that they've given to you through listening to them, work. Don't just talk again. No. You work on it. And then the last one is be a friend.
Okay.
I always tell everybody working with UTAC, I always tell them that, look, for me, this is not a job for me. This is my life. This is my purpose. So if you are in my circle, then you will know that being a friend to the African child is very, very important. So before your project, before your program, before your intervention, wherever it is, be a friend first. Be a friend. That way you get the kids to loosen up, to trust you, and to work with you.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing that. And yes, I suppose the best piece of advice is to be a friend, be a listener, and to work towards what you have set out to work towards. And just picking out from your the last but one point you made about, if you sit down and you come up with things, like execute them. I suppose it's in terms of not breaking promises, it would be good for organizations to, if they know that they're not able to deliver something, or they don't have the capacity to deliver on something, to make the beneficiaries or the people they're working with know that they can't deliver on that way, to avoid broken promises. Because sometimes, they might not have the manpower, they might not have the resources to actually deliver on certain things, or it might not even have been a part of their planning strategy. And so when it does come out, when they're speaking to the young people and young people say, we need this, and they know they can't deliver, it would be good to say, we've heard what you've said, but we don't have the capacity to deliver this as yet. Just so that they're not saying, yes, we can do it, but then they end up not doing it. It might not really be their fault that they were not able to deliver it, because they don't have the capacity to do so. So being very honest on what you can deliver and what you can't deliver. And I suppose maybe that's also the opportunity to actually get people involved, because if you can't do it, there might be someone within the community that you're working with that can actually do it better. They do have the knowledge, they have the skills, and they can be the agents of change for themselves. They just need, they maybe need some help, but once you give it to them, they're able to fly, basically. Yeah, that's just me talking. But what do you have to say about that?
In working with the community, I remember before I came back to Accra, we had a PTA meeting with the parents. And this is where I had a conversation with the parents and conversation with the teachers and also the assemblyman, where I told them, I laid the groundwork for them. I told them everything that we want to do and how they can also be involved. How they can also be, like you said, agents of change themselves, because I'm not always going to be in the north. So when I leave, you are the change agent when it comes to your children's growth and their progress. So I educated them as regards to how they can get involved in helping their children. So it was, and it's really, really effective to, take these parents along with you in executing your project, so they learn from it.
Yeah. And also for sustainability as well.
Yes, exactly.
We want it to last as long as possible, forever, if possible. I mean, that's the whole point of going there, to see lasting change. So involve the people as much as possible. All right. So you to talk about the current project you're working on with Equeous Kids Foundation, just to end us on that one.
Yeah. So we initiated a program called the Rural Literacy program in East Mamprese district. This is where we organize so many engaging literacy activities to engage the children reading and writing abilities. So we've been supporting schools with storybooks. We've been creating reading clubs in schools. So far, we have established 2 reading clubs in 2 junior high schools, Namiboku Junior High School and Sakugu English Arabic Junior High School, where in the reading club, they get access to books, they get access to reading materials. They also get reading buddies, where we also connect them with reading buddies, where we pair them with a child who is good at reading, pair them with the ones who is not. So we've been doing this with Ep.1 Foundation. We supported students, about over 100 students with educational supplies, and we are also building a library, and we're doing that in collaboration with Rain Child organization. So Ep.1 Foundation, they've been really massive when it comes to the rural literacy program in East Mamprese district. Before, we were working with 2 villages, that's South Subigi and Damiboku, but now we have extended and expanded our support to 5 villages, and through the help of Ep.1 Foundation.
That's great. Well done. We're looking forward to seeing the completed work. I have no further questions. And it's been great talking to you, Samuel. It's been such a good conversation, and for being our very first guest on a No Ordinary podcast. I'm sure we will have you again. We had you last year for International Youth Day. So we've had you twice on the same, I guess, what the same theme, vision, and I'm hoping that No Ordinary Life will get to work with you one day, and next time will be a face-to-face conversation. That would be great, right?
Thank you for joining No Ordinary Podcast. We hope you join us for our next one. For more information about us, visit our link tree on linktr.ee/No Ordinary Life. You can also visit our website and social media pages to find out more about us and get up-to-date information. Do sign up to our newsletter to receive the updates on all our projects and events. This has been your host, Claudia Newton. Take care.